Today we will be celebrating the myth, the man, the legend of Christopher
That
Columbus.
stain in humanity. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Hi everyone and welcome back to This Is Why They Hate Us with me, Kath.
And me, the vanilla face, Chris.
Christopher, which is coincidentally the topic today, except it's a different Christopher,
Yeah, a far shittier one. From a long ways back.
Just a few days ago, at least a few days ago.
At least a few hours ago, yeah. Like a little bit before the beginning of, the conflict in Iran right now. Just a tiny bit.
Conflict or war?
Yeah. It's not really a war, because if we call it a war, then Congress, then
You need approval
there's legal
for
stuff,
Congress, yeah.
so we just call it a military action. Therefore, it's okay. The fact he said that out loud.
He said a lot of stuff out loud, including the latest truth about how, what was it? I've completely forgot. It's so unhinged. Praise be to Allah and
Yeah,
all that.
when Trump, the Allah has the letters ALH in my full name with my middle name. Oh, that also contains the letters of Allah. So therefore, I'm Allah.
And he said that on Easter Sunday, and I think he or someone just compared him to Jesus Christ too.
Yeah, he does it to himself as well. And speaking of shitty holidays,
Time to nail him to a cross.
yeah.
Anyway, so today I want to talk about Christopher Columbus, partly because when I was editing the previous episode, I was mentioning that they were putting up Christopher Columbus statue near the White House or at the White House, something like that,
Yeah.
somewhere in that vicinity. But then I realized that we were having a discussion and somehow we got into this whole talk about Christopher Columbus, and I told you that I was taught about Christopher Columbus when I was young too in school as well. And yeah, here we are.
It's also kind of funny that like an administration that has no ideology, who are hardcore against immigrants, would put up an Italian immigrant like at the White House, like a big statue of him. But it makes just as much sense as like putting up Confederate soldiers, which are soldiers who would have shot and killed American soldiers in America. Put up the statues of the Confederate. Like you might as well have a statue of like Osama bin Laden or something like that.
I mean, technically, if you think about it, all white Americans are immigrants.
Yeah.
Or are
They are, literally all
descendants
of
of
them.
immigrants. Yeah.
And by the way, them shooting at American soldiers is not the only reason why those statues shouldn't be there. Just want to say that.
Well, common sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about when I learned about Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Let's start with
Because
that.
I am
shall we?
very curious. I am very curious.
I haven't told you that story, right?
No.
So I believe I did some more research on that to see when Christopher Columbus was taught in school, because I did remember learning about him. And I think according to an article, it is from this article from Tumai is taken from a textbook in ninth grade. So strangely, it was from a textbook on Khmer literature. But then they were teaching Christopher Columbus. I would have thought it was from history class, but it was from Khmer studies for
Well, I
some
mean,
reason.
Christopher Columbus was from Cambodia. I mean, his name starts with a C. Both his first name and his surname start with a C. You know,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Yeah.
So I remember vaguely being taught about Christopher Columbus, and here we call him Christophe Colomb.
Christophe Colomb.
Yeah, Christophe Colomb for some reason. And so according to this my article, it is an excerpt from the textbook. They were talking about him when he was born, that he was the son of a businessman, and he was, strangely, a person with a clear goal. Okay. And then they said that since his teenage years, he always wanted to be a tradesman like his dad, and he continued to live on the sea until 1470. Blah, blah, blah. And then they went on to this whole thing, which I remember in class, we were taught that Christopher Columbus was this guy who wanted to prove that the Earth was round. So
That's what we're taught too. And
yeah, so he
yeah.
defied everyone's belief, and he was trying to fight against it, saying that I need to prove that the world was round. So he went on this sail that was disapproved by everyone. He went against it, and then he sailed around the world, and somehow he found what he called the Indians, right?
Yeah, the Indians, the
Yeah,
Indies.
yeah, the
They
Indies.
thought they found India. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it turned out that it was actually North America,
Yeah.
and then he found quote unquote Native Americans.
They
What else
said
is
he
he?
politely said hello to them, and then they just viciously attacked him for no reason.
Yeah, they didn't even talk about how um, there was no attack according to the textbook. So the textbook said that Christopher Columbus' plan was mocked by the general public. They thought that he was a crazy man. They thought that he would not be able to do it, and he was sad about it. Poor Christopher Columbus.
Poor guy.
But even if people were mocking him, he still had hope in achieving his goal. So he was a very determined person,
Determined to get some rape slaves.
determined to commit genocide.
Yeah.
So he sailed around the world, all of that, and then they said that he discovered the new world. So probably similar to what you were taught, right?
Yeah, that's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
That like everyone just assumed the Earth was flat,
Mm.
which I mean, there were people who actually believed that. Of course, there are still people who believe that now, and somehow that population is growing, unfortunately. But like that was not Christopher Columbus's goal. He did not give a shit about that. What he really wanted was riches and power, and to I don't know prove he was a man or some shit.
So what were you taught about Christopher Columbus back in school?
We were taught those things, but then there was an elaboration, which is that he was so ultra religious and so humble that he felt guilty for even having blankets when other people were too poor to have blankets. Like that was literally what we were taught in my school when I was a kid. Just crazy shit like that.
I mean, this is why he gave the Native Americans blanket just covered in syphilis, right? Yeah, syphilis germs,
Smallpox.
yeah, smallpox, yeah,
Yeah.
all of that, to spread the love.
Spread the love of the white conquerors. Yeah. Here you go. We've infected you, literally. And now we're going to let nature do that, and then we're going to take over the next couple of centuries. Is that okay? That okay? Like, you know.
So I was taught all of that, and because I didn't have any, I guess in a way, I was conditioned into believing all of that. So for quite some time, I actually thought that Christopher Columbus was this explorer, was this adventurer, right? I didn't question it because that is American history. And it's not like back when I was young, I had a lot of exposure to anything that was contradicting that. And even the legacy media, the traditional media that I was consuming at the time, this was like in 2000s, they were not talking about that.
Yeah.
People were still celebrating Christopher Columbus Day. There was not a lot of discourse on the genocide, on what Christopher Columbus committed back when he discovered the America. So I thought that, oh, maybe he was just this guy who wanted to prove that the earth was round, and somehow this happened. So it wasn't until social media started talking about Columbus Day, and then people were talking about how they some people were changing it to Indigenous Peoples
People's
Day.
Day, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was when I went really deep into why people were changing that, which was not, sadly, not that long ago that people started having that discourse. I know. It's not like I was revering Christopher Columbus or anything. It's
You're
just
in
that
love
I
with him. You have like you have his
you looked
autograph.
appalled. You had this like horrified look on your face. Look, I was not I was not doing a lot of research on Christopher Columbus. In my defense, he didn't discover Cambodia. But that was when I started looking really into why people were trying to not worship Christopher Columbus and give him this day, and why people were changing the narratives to Indigenous Peoples Day. And then that was when I discovered a lot of the things that he did. I mean, I kind of heard it before, but I never really got deep into it. Do you need some water? So
Yeah.
while you're drinking water, I'm gonna read some excerpts to people in case they have not heard about it, about some of the reasons why Christopher Columbus was a murderer, a tyrant, and a scoundrel. So I'm only gonna be reading some. This is from Vox.
Those are the qualities that make a man a good president.
I think I saw this excerpt from a journal that really horrified me and cemented the whole atrocity that he committed. I'm gonna give a trigger warning. There's gonna be mentioning of rape and torture. So
There's
trigger
a lot of
warning right
that.
here.
There's a lot of that.
So there's a quote from the journal of Michel de Cuneo. So he participated in Columbus' second expedition to the Americas. He said, this was on page 143 of his journal. While I was in the boat, I captured a very beautiful woman whom the Lord Admiral Columbus gave to me. When I had taken her to my cabin, she was naked, as was their custom. I was filled with a desire to take my pleasure with her, and attempted to satisfy my desire. She was unwilling, and so treated me with her nails that I wished I had never begun. I then took a piece of rope and whipped her soundly, and she let forth such incredible screams that you would not have believed your ears. Eventually we came to such terms, I assure you, that you would have thought she had brought up in a school for whores. Thoughts?
Human garbage, rapist, freak. The invaders came in and just started kidnapping people and passing out women like they're trophies or some shit. And then he probably raped a girl who was a teenager or something.
Yeah,
Probably, most likely.
yeah.
Yeah, and he felt proud of it. And the culture was so toxic and horrible that he wrote about it. He wrote about it openly. And just like, yeah, I totally did this thing, and it's obviously wrong what I did, but I did it anyway because I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and some more facts. About 50,000 Indians committed mass suicide rather than comply with the Spanish. 56 years after Columbus' first voyage, only 500 out of 300,000 Indians remained on Hispaniola. 500 out of 300,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Settlers under Columbus sold 9 and 10-year-old girls into sexual slavery.
So it's like just basically like Renaissance era Epstein type stuff, you know?
And a bunch of other stuff as well, which is wild considering Disney created Pocahontas.
Yeah, that shitty movie. I remember when I was a kid and Disney was riding high in the 90s. You know, I saw The Lion King in the theater, for example. And then they started to slip. I, I'm not. I mean, the quality of the movie started getting criticized more, but also then Pocahontas came out, and even like preteen me, I'm seeing the trailers for this, and it's like, I don't think that's what happened. I don't think this works. She was kidnapped, and she was a kid.
Yeah.
Like even back then, like I just kind of had this feeling like there's something off about this.
Yeah, it was strange what they did because they romanticized
For no reason.
Yeah, they romanticized Pocahontas and her captor.
Also, as a writer, wouldn't John Smith wouldn't that be like a slam dunk villain? Like just easy to write? You can write a story about like defeating John Smith or something, even though that's not what happened in real life. Pocahontas was kidnapped and brought to Britain to be used as a zoo animal.
Yeah.
To be looked at, and then died when she was like 17 or 18 years old from some illness that she wouldn't have got if she had never been kidnapped.
Have you seen the second Pocahontas?
There's a second
Hmm.
Pocahontas. Well,
There's the second movie.
I didn't know that. So yes, yes, I didn't know that. So therefore, yes.
So in Pocahontas 2, they actually she's in Britain, she's in England, and it's where she learns to assimilate into British
Does
society.
she convert to Christianity?
And I remember vividly, I remember the scene. I don't remember much of the two movies, but I vividly remember the scene where they put her in um this British outfit, you know, like the poofy hoop skirt and
Yeah.
all of that, and she felt out of place, so they made her seem like this fish out of water character, but they were trying to dress her up to assimilate into Britain, into British society.
It's a fish out of water tale, genocide.
But yeah, there is Pocahontas too. We should
I didn't
watch
know
that.
that. Yeah. Um, but I remember learning about Christopher Columbus, the distorted Republican version of it. Um, and like when I was a little kid. I mean, I
Hmm.
grew up in American culture. Like it's just kind of everywhere in kids media and in the school system. Um, I didn't learn about the atrocities until I was in seventh grade, and
That's still pretty early.
but like I was sitting there and it's seventh grade, and we're watching this documentary in my class, and it's all about the genocide and the rape. And the video presentation also included like drawings of like women hanging from trees, like after being raped
Mm.
and murdered, and like and people being like speared in the face, and all that the normal genocide stuff, and how Christopher Columbus was considered so extreme that even the savages from that time period thought like this guy's a little bit too far. He's just a little bit too Netanyahu for me.
Wait, they
Just
taught that in class? Wouldn't that go against the propaganda?
yeah, but that's what we were learning about. I mean, is that teacher's particular interest? But that was in that class, and that was the only time we learned about this stuff was in that seventh grade classroom. And I don't know if like the class that came after me a year later would have learned about that, or if the
Hmm.
school had a problem with that or something. I don't know what happened after that, but um, I remember sitting in that class and like my classmates were like cheering on Christopher Columbus as the documentary is talking about like the horrors that he was committing and that his soldiers were committing against the natives. Like classmates of mine were just sitting there like cheering it on, like yeah, hell yeah, they're a bunch of savages anyway. Like they're probably just gonna rape you back, so you might as well just rape them and attack them first. Like they're just saying these things like all across the classroom, like under their breaths.
Yeah.
And like some of these kids were also like some of my bullies,
Mm.
and me sitting there, I'm just like, huh. They're cheering on the murder of like Native Americans, these like other 12 and 13-year-olds, and I'm sitting there as someone who's only part Native American, but still like knowing that,
Hmm.
and just like being really weirded out. Not just, I mean, the documentary is already just like, wow, I didn't know that. What a piece of shit. Like, why are we pretending this guy's a hero? Why are we hero worshiping this piece of shit? Uh, he wasn't even the first person to discover the United States, or the Americas. Why did I put the quotations there? I didn't mean to. But he but then like just my classmates just making jokes about it like so casually, and like to each other, and it's just like really dark day for me.
Hmm.
Just shockingly bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you were taught that because I know that um in the US they tend to whitewash a lot of
They
history.
do,
Yeah.
but the '90s was it was when like the early '90s, like really early '90s was when like social justice stuff started coming
Mm.
up more. Like I mean grunge, they that genre started in the '80s, and it was like an openly feminist genre criticizing like racism and shit like that, and just promoting alternative culture, and challenging the mainstream. And so the '90s, like, and then there's also the same time as Anita Hill, the whole Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas thing. So the '90s, we started talking about stuff like that, and people started acknowledging the genocide more. uh, but it was that transition time,
Uh-huh.
where people were still like, well, yeah, but we gotta, yeah, well, hero worship this guy. We gotta have the holiday because we get the day off, or some
I
shit.
mean, I don't know because in the 2000s, they were still talking about Thanksgiving, for example, as this holiday where the Native Americans were giving
Yeah,
thanks to, yeah.
but the discourse was already coming up in like probably a little bit before my childhood. Like people would
Mm,
talk about it. It's just mainstream media didn't really focus on that narrative very
mm,
much. But you'd have radio DJs talk about it, or just people who weren't really in the mainstream. I mean, they're on the sides of the mainstream, just talking about it. And you'd have even shows like The Simpsons. Like I can't remember if they had Native American jokes. Like they probably did. I mean, not jokes about the Native Americans, but making fun of Thanksgiving
yeah.
and the content of it back in the 90s. So, it's sort of like a 50-50 thing where some people were still talking about Christopher Columbus, this like myth, and
Mm,
other people were acknowledging the reality. But one group that's always been acknowledging the reality were the Native American groups. Like, ever since Christopher Columbus got his holiday back in 1892, like Native American activists and people who care about the rights of other human beings
mm-hmm,
have been protesting against this since the first time we had that holiday, since
mm-hmm,
1892.
mm-hmm.
um, it's just sort of like kind of an underground criticism. Like if you're not part of that community, you might not ever hear that type of criticism. But like in the 90s, it was kind of spilling part way into the mainstream culture,
Yeah.
and I was aware enough in the 90s, even though I was a little kid, like I was aware of the criticisms coming out. And seventh grade kind of, like when I saw that film in seventh grade, that solidified like the horrors of it. And I became kind of interested in like people like that and conquistadors that followed, even though Columbus wasn't technically a conquistador because he's Italian. Conquistadors are Spanish, and they came after him. Like I became interested in those types of freaks and those abominations running around. Like basically the same fascination I would have with like a serial killer or something like that. It's like historical true crime stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Random, but oops, sorry,
Hi,
Cleo.
Cleo.
Random, but were you ever taught the Trail of Tears?
I think we were, but really a very plastic version of it, like a small version of it, like when we were really young, and it was accompanied by like a computer game that we would play in the library, like a very very watered down version of it, but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think I wasn't taught the Trail of Tears. I actually had to do independent research on that to learn about it. In a way, how Cambodia teaches U.S. history is also very, very whitewashed as well.
Yeah,
It's
which
a lot of
doesn't.
American propaganda. That's why a lot of people, well, I think people now, especially because what Donald Trump is doing, we have been disillusioned by how
Yeah,
great
finally,
the
good.
U.S. empire is. But I think for the longest time, the U.S. got a chokehold on Cambodia. Like we were in a chokehold by how much we were worshipping the U.S., which leads to another
Cleo,
point.
don't do that.
Cleo, which leads to another point that I wanted to talk about, which is the American imperialism.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go on. Have your rant.
about American imperialism.
Yeah.
About the
How much time do we have?
the we don't have that much time. I mean, we can just we let's just focus on imperialism in Cambodia, for example, and American, well, imperialism. I mean, America worship in. Actually, I'm not sure what thing to pick because there's not that much time. I mean, well, what follows after Christopher Columbus is what they call the Age of Exploration, which was the age of just stealing land and
Hmm.
stealing people and turning them into slaves, and mastering slavery basically over time.
Yeah,
Uh,
the transatlantic slave trade.
yeah,
Yeah.
which would come about like I think in 1619.
Hmm.
That's when that kind of began.
You know what? I
But I mean,
am.
there's a build up before that, of course. Like,
Whenever we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, I am so annoyed and enraged and infuriated by how the UK government has been paying slave owners, technically the descendants of slave owners, for years, right? You didn't know that?
no,
Yeah, they have been paying for years in reparation.
huh? You
Yeah.
poor slave owner, you poor descendant of people who kidnap people and you dehumanize them and raped them and turn them into an object. Like, poor you.
Well,
Now
you.
the victims, though, like I mean, obviously it's just it's just nature. Some races are better than the other, so like we ought to do those things. So
Okay, while you go on a rant, I am gonna, or maybe I'll just do it now actually. I'm gonna find the actual statistic because there is a, um, wait, Slave Compensation Act, something like that. Hang on, let me see.
give my slaves back. I need a I need free therapy because my slaves are stolen from me. Like, I have PTSD because they took my rape slaves away.
Go on a rant while I do this.
But basically, the hero worship of Christopher Columbus is just the people who started the holiday. For example, they did it with anti-immigrant aspirations. They're trying to make the population fearmonger and be afraid of immigrants, which is weird because why would you pick an immigrant who wouldn't have existed during the United States at all? He would have been dead for hundreds of years by the time the United States came about. Like, pick this guy, but part of it is that they pick him because of what he represents. Like, in reality, a genocidal white conqueror who had no moral boundaries whatsoever. A guy who was so fucking evil and messed up that the Italian court wanted him arrested, and that's like the Italian court of like the early 16th century, where they're still like hunting witches and shit like that, and punishing people who challenge their stupid religion. uh, did you find your thing?
Yes, I did. So,
Because
uh,
there's a lot to say, but I don't want to like spend. I don't want to like rant for 30 minutes. Like,
so apparently the UK took out a loan to pay reparations to slave owners in 1833 and only paid off the debt in 2015. So apparently, okay, so I misspoke a little bit. They took out a loan in order to pay reparations to the slave owners back then, in order to help secure ban of slave trade, right? So they said to the slave owners that, okay, in order for you to help secure this, I'm going to pay you reparations for the loss of humans, of money that you would have otherwise made. So they took out a loan and then they only paid off the debt in 2015, and at the time they paid off the compensation of 20 million pounds in 1833. 20 million pounds to compensate 3,000 families that owned slaves for the loss of their property.
yeah, their property, those human beings. that's that's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently that's what happened. It only ended because they got money.
that's cool. That's badass. Isn't human history great?
So how evil was Christopher Columbus?
Well, like I said, he was so evil that even the Italian courts of the early 1500s, the early 16th century, thought he was a scumbag piece of shit and that he should be arrested. That's how bad he was. Like he was scaring other racist rapists who were around him, because of how fucking like insane he was. The guy was like human garbage, basically, just a mass rapist.
I believe at one point they were actually slaughtering buffaloes of that belonged to indigenous people because they wanted to starve them, right? Am I correct?
I don't know if that was Columbus. I feel like that would have been much later.
One of those people.
I mean, they're
One of
all
those
basically
colonizers.
like those few hundred years. Basically, the white
Uh-oh.
no Cleo, the white people are all the same. Basically, just like white guys are all the same. Like for those several hundred years, like it's just like let's just conquer a place, steal the land for no reason. God, Jesus, and rape is cool, and give me more slaves, please, and also Jesus.
I think it's still happening right now, actually. It's just it happens in a different format. In terms of, yeah, we were talking about imperialism in terms of that, and also colonization. I mean, as someone from Cambodia, I'm also pretty familiar with colonization because we were colonized for over 100 years. Yeah.
Hi, Cleo.
Um, to the point where there is a lot of white worshipping in Cambodia because of how, for so long the French were looked at as like these more highly intelligent, these
Superior race.
sophisticated, yeah, exactly. To the point where even our language reflects that, because I'm sure you know that we call every single white person, no matter where they're from, it's barang,
Wrong.
which
Yeah.
is French. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm apparently French.
You're apparently French. Every white person is French.
Yeah.
But um, people of color who are immigrants, they're immigrants, but white people are expats. But I think
Expats
this,
somehow.
yeah, but I think this is a problem that extends beyond Cambodia as well.
Of course, yeah. Oh, she's got the zoomies now officially, and she is just rubbing the
She
floor.
always has zoomies whenever we're filming for
It's
some
because she
reason.
loves the podcast, you know. But yeah, I always resented that term, like being called an expat. It's like, no, I'm an immigrant.
You are an
Fuck off.
immigrant
Like
though, yeah.
expat, like what's so special? Like why am I in a different category than like someone from India? Like why are they just an immigrant?
It's not
Why am
just
I an expat? Like what is so what? Why am I above them? Like that's it's usually used in that term or that not term that it's usually used that way. Like you're an immigrant or you're an expat. You know, it's usually used that way.
yeah. And also, it's not just that, but it's where people hang out as well. For example, in Phnom Penh, Basa Lane is more as like an expat place, you know,
Yeah.
whereas immigrants, like the people of color, would be hanging out at different place, but they don't hang out at sophisticated place like Basa
Yeah,
Lane.
they hang out at Riverside, you know, where all the people like smoke like meth and at night in public. You know, they don't, you know, because they're all savages. But the expats, you know, they have class, because they come here with like fake bachelor's degrees and trick a school into hiring them and molest the kids at the school. That's classy. It's classy as fuck, just like me.
I remember when I was young, and I think it's still happening right now actually. Parents would have some sort of pride if their kid is being taught by a white person.
Yeah, I was told that to my face by
Really?
parents. Yeah, who would speak like broken English, like finally a white person.
Here?
Yeah, here all the time. For example, like that would happen to me. Like their parents, even the vice principal at the school at the elementary school I worked at, flat out told me that. And I know you're gonna bleep it
Believe
out. Yeah, you're gonna put me out there. But the vice principal at that school said that to me. Like, well, we prefer to hire white teachers because that's what the parents want, and you know, obviously a white teacher would know more than you know some immigrant. That's what he said. That's what he said. And he was the same guy who's also like, and if the students pick on like someone with dark skin, that's just our culture, you know. Just let it happen. In fact, you can encourage it. And he had dark skin. He was a Cambodian with dark skin, and he was saying that to me.
There is a lot of racism in Cambodia, actually. I know we're going on a tangent, but
And
there,
it is relevant to Christopher Columbus, right? Because like these assholes from Italy, they look down on the natives, and then people who came after them, like the early imperial age, I guess, American imperial age, like or European imperial age, I guess, which would be okay. I'm I'm putting this in a funny way, but the age of exploration, as they call it, like it's just more of looking down on the natives who are savages, and even though like the people conquering them are the real savages, uh, you know,
see, that's the thing, going back to the movie Pocahontas. So that's the thing, because it feels almost like Disney got it, but then they didn't. Because, for example, in the song Call of the Wind, Pocahontas literally sang something like, "You think we are savages," and then she sang about how it's you don't you will never hear the wolf cry to the blue corn moon if you don't sing to the call of the wind, something like that. I remember the lyrics, but putting it out of context like that, I don't quite remember it. But basically, with that song, they get it. They get the whole evil, the whole nefarious nature of colonization,
yeah.
and yet they did not apply that to the movie.
At least the music producer got that. Maybe not the director or writer of the film. Whoever wrote that.
Yeah, they almost got it. And then I hate it when people are like, well, remember when Disney wasn't woke? You mean remember the time when Disney romanticized a teenage girl who was kidnapped, who was taken against her will?
Yeah.
Or the time when, have you seen Dumbo?
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I watched that all the time. When I was
Do you
a kid,
remember
the
that scene? So there's one scene where they were assembling the circus, right? And then the people, the workers who were doing that, who were constructing the circus, they were black, and then they were singing the song where it's like, we are slave, we are toiling away, we don't get paid, but then we still work, we break our backs and all of that. So that was in Dumbo.
And they have like the ridiculous caricature of the characters also. Is your microphone still working?
I think so. Yeah, it's still working.
Thanks, Cleo. Cleo is she's getting wild here.
Always like that every single time we film.
That's right.
All right. The last point is why and how was the US able to spread propaganda about Christopher Columbus to the rest of the world, and is it still working now?
Well, it's convenient. I mean, you don't want like if you're some like nationalist asshole moron, you don't want people thinking that your country was founded on bloodshed, even though it was, and most countries were. So it's convenient to just take control of the narrative and try to spin some like rose-colored version, some whitewashed version of history, to so that we can ignore the natives' voices, for example. You know, like these Native Americans, they want more rights and shit, and they won't let us just steal their land. What the hell, bro? So you know, if you romanticize all these people, it's just another way of silencing their voices. You know, it's kind of similar to the Republican Party. I think it was the Reagan era, shitty Reagan era, where they took MLK and they decided, hey, let's make an MLK Day and we'll romanticize it. Romanticize. We'll take MLK
Water
and
down.
strip him down. Yeah, he was just talking about racism and only blatant racism. He never referenced communism or anything like that, except he
Yeah.
hung out with communists and he started criticizing capitalism towards the end of his life. And is on film. He's just doing it on film, and usually they cut off the parts where he's talking about capitalism and white supremacy being a pillar of capitalism.
Yeah. Um,
Hi, Cleo.
how do you think they were able to spread that kind of propaganda to the rest of the world?
Media. You know, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and have like conservative weirdos who don't like conservative, school teachers who don't question it, teaching it, and just like all other propaganda.
I think, and also as a side note, this was also discussed in the book Manufacturing Consent. I know that we are canceling Noam Chomsky right now. She's distracting me a little bit. I know that we are canceling Noam Chomsky. I know that. So, but I still think that the book has some merits to it. So if you are curious about it, pirate it. Don't give him money.
Yeah, fuck him. Just steal it.
But I do think that the book does still have merits, a lot of merits to it. But anyway, I think another way that the US has been able to spread that kind of propaganda around is through foreign aid. Right? So things like USAID, they would do all of these programs, but then they also allow the programs to be done in a way that glorifies the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never done in a way that criticizes the US. It's always like glorifies the US from a US lens, and then look at the US as like this whole,
Paragon hero,
yeah,
perfect deity thing that floats in and just like we've stopped all
save.
poverty. That
Yeah, exactly.
especially the ones sometimes it's the poverty that we caused, and we sometimes stop that too.
Or things like, for example, an example is the demining program in Cambodia, right? They funded the program. However,
They
who the
caused it.
fuck planted the mines? Like, why did that happen?
Yeah, like where did the Khmer Rouge come from? Like, what two powerful American policymakers who had a lot of influence caused the Khmer Rouge? Who was who was the president in the early 1970s? Uh, who the fuck was that? It was Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger, by the way.
Yeah, and he lived a very long life, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, unfortunately, he only died a couple years ago. It's too bad he never got to see like his reputation flip. I mean, it still is like preserved, unfortunately. Just like Christopher Columbus, like we have this weird tendency to honor like genocidal maniacs. Like Henry Kissinger was out of his fucking mind and had limitless power and control, like influence over Richard Nixon, who was also a warmongering like narcissist. And in the 70s, when he went down, he was considered like the height of possible corruption. which has been like overtaken by just the Trump regime.
Yeah. And I do think that that is one of the reasons why people are so disillusioned by the US right now and that the propaganda is not working because partly, like I said, one of the ways that that they were able to spread propaganda is through foreign aids. But now Trump and his
Killed
regime,
that.
yet they
Yeah.
don't even bother to try to put on this charade anymore about, the American imperialism, the US imperialism, or the US being this hero who solve problems that they created.
Yeah. Now it's just like hard power, like fuck you, respect me. I order you to respect me. I order you to like me. I order you to be my friend.
Yeah, that's why Trump has no diplomacy. He's just gonna be like, open the Strait of Hormuz, or we're gonna bomb the shit out of you.
Yeah, he literally says that. Like, what did he say? Like, what was the exact quote? Like, he swore in the tweet also, or the truth tweet, or whatever the fuck, Truth Social, which is the most ironic name.
Let me try to find it. What did he say?
Yeah, he's really burned all the soft power. So at least like the mythology of the United States is you know disintegrating, including Christopher Columbus.
Okay, he said Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah.
The idea that Trump like converts to Islam also.
But also, like, open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or
Yeah.
you'll be living in hell. Just watch, in all caps.
Yeah, like a child,
He's so demented.
like a pants shitting child. So it's no wonder that guy wants Christopher Columbus statue in front of the White House. You might as well have a statue of like Netanyahu himself and then Hitler and how about Kissinger? Throw him in there.
And it'll be like the circle of hell.
Mussolini, put him in there also. Franco.
What kind of timeline is this?
Yeah, I hate it. Yeah.
All right, any last words about Christopher Columbus?
Fuck Christopher Columbus. Fuck Christopher Columbus Day. Indigenous Peoples Day. That's a legitimate holiday.
Yeah.
That's something worth honoring. No, Cleo. No. Aw.
Even Cleo's like, fuck Christopher
Yeah,
Columbus.
and she doesn't like him either. Yeah.
I hope that if you are a Cambodian and if you're listening to this podcast, you do your own independent research on. Uh-oh, she moved the. You
That's
know
fine.
what?
That's
We're
fine.
almost ending it anyway,
Yeah.
so never mind. But you do your own independent research on a lot of things that media has been informing you because a lot of it is filtered through propaganda lens, right?
Imperial propaganda. Yeah.
Exactly, because if you are looking at legacy media right now, the mainstream media right now, it is owned by like what, 12?
Like seven.
7?
Seven like corporations and billionaires.
Yeah, so it's
Harry Ellison is just buying more shit also.
exactly, they are just basically, and they hang out together, you know?
Yeah, like it's funny. They know they're weak. That's why they have to cheat. That's why they have to like put corrupt propaganda out there because they know they're wrong. They
Yeah.
agree that they're wrong. They just don't care. They're
It's money.
broken people.
I do think that you have to be a certain type of person to be able to be a billionaire. You have to be a little psychopathic.
Yeah, to be that or a
At
conquistador,
least a little.
or a pre-conquistador like Christopher Columbus, like to be one of these types of people. They're all like they're similar, and you got to be broken on the inside, like deeply broken, and just like refusing to get therapy or some shit to be one of these types of freaks.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine being the type of person who's like, I'm gonna send 30,000 people an email at 6 a.m. telling them that they no longer have a job? You have to be a little psychopathic to be able to do that.
I love me, and they love me too. They know I'm right.
All right, well, that is the end of our episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to leave us a review. Don't forget to give us some ratings and leave some comments. That is Cleo, just accomplishing her zoomies and
Yeah.
destroying everything as usual, but she's too cute. So, anyways, don't forget to leave Cleo a rating as well.
Yeah.
On
Cleo.
all podcast apps. You can find us on social media as well. Be sure to follow us everywhere, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye bye. Meow at you later.
Oh my god, that's so chaotic.